Tonight, the government celebrates its victory in the Dunkley by-election while the opposition searches for a silver lining. Also tonight, tens of thousands of meals dropped to starving Gazans amid reports Israel has accepted a plan for a 6-week ceasefire. An insidious invasive species makes a home in Canberra's biggest drinking water reservoir. And the ACT Brumbies take a beating from the Chiefs in the Super Rugby. Yulma, good evening and welcome to ABC News. I'm James Glenday, coming to you from Ngunnawal country, and we also acknowledge other people and families with connection to the lands of the ACT. Well, the federal opposition insists it is still well placed to win outer suburban seats from Labor at the next election, despite falling short in the Dunkley by-election yesterday. Labor retained the seat, which is centred on Frankston, south of Melbourne, with local community worker Jody Bellier finishing clear of the Liberal candidate Nathan Conroy. And while cost of living was the central issue in the campaign, it wasn't enough to change the way people voted.
From Frankston mum to federal MP, Jody Bellier is the latest addition to Anthony Albanese's team.
Jody! Jody! I spoke to him a short time ago and I am now officially the second most important Jody in Albo.
The primary vote, maintained in the way that Jody has done it, is just an extraordinary achievement.
Local mayor and Liberal candidate Nathan Conroy narrowed the gap, but not by nearly enough.
In the next election, we are coming for Albanese and his government.
And chose to focus on the brighter side of the by-election battle.
Just before I came up on the stage, my wife whispered in my ear that we are having our second child.
The party picked up votes from One Nation and the United Australia Party, which didn't stand candidates.
The people of Dunkley have sent Anthony Albanese a really strong message. And it's not happy birthday.
Outer suburban seats, like here in Dunkley, are the ones the coalition need to win to find a path to victory at the next election. Opposition leader Peter Dutton wanted to make this by-election a referendum on the cost of living. But with Labor's primary vote slightly up, it's being seen as vindication for its Stage 3 tax cuts.
I did it. Well done. Thank you.
With Dunkley safely back in Labor hands, the Prime Minister's focus remains on the one issue that dominated the campaign.
And on cost of living, we'll continue to look for what measures we can put in place to take pressure off cost of living without putting pressure on inflation.
The Liberal Party loss will trigger some self-reflection about its policy agenda.
Do you need now to start releasing more policy alternatives?
Of course, and that's what we will do.
The by-election was held after the death of former MP Peter Murphy from cancer last year. Embracing Ms Murphy's husband Rod Glover, Jody Bellier has vowed to build on her legacy and fight for her electorate in Canberra.
Because I am Frankston tough.
Bridget Rollison, ABC News, Frankston.
Now, Labor retaining the seat means there's no change on the electoral map, but the result might offer insight into how the next federal election could play out. With analysis, here's the ABC's national political lead, David Spears.
Liberals insist they're happy. The official line is this was a very good result. And it's true, this result, in line with the average by-election swing, was better than the party's done for some time in Victoria. But the reality is the Liberals lost again, despite this being a by-election, when voters often give governments a kick in the shins. And despite the cost of living crisis, which is biting hard in a seat like Dunkley, not enough voters there were willing to sheet home blame to the government for the hip pocket pain they're feeling. There's already talk within Liberal ranks about the need for Peter Dutton to do more than just attack and start producing some alternative policy solutions. And some of his colleagues want a greater focus on winning back inner metro Teal seats rather than just focusing on the outer suburbs. For Labor, holding up their primary vote was an achievement. The rejigged tax cuts worked, but they won't be remembered forever. We're likely to see more cost of living help in the May budget and no doubt in the lead up to the next general election, which could be just over a year away. By then, the Prime Minister will be hoping interest rates have started to fall and voters give him credit for the economy turning the corner.
David Spears there. Well, it's been revealed the former politician accused of helping an international spy ring was recruited while serving as a member of a parliament. The boss of Australia's domestic intelligence agency, ASIO, revealed last week a foreign spy group cultivated the now former politician. However, Mike Burgess didn't provide details about their age, gender or political affiliation. He says although the person is no longer a politician, they were recruited while in office and it occurred before 2018.
I won't comment on which parliament it was. What I will say is foreign interference against the political system happens at all levels of government, local, state and federal, and applies itself equally across all political parties.
More than 100,000 people crammed the streets of Sydney last night to watch the 46th Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade. A protest briefly stopped the march, but the show went on and, as usual, it was a glitter-soaked, sequin-studded affair. But amid the celebration, the community also came together to remember a young couple allegedly murdered by a serving police officer.
The Dykes on Bikes always kick off the parade with a roar. But last night they paused at Taylor Square to remember the lives of Sydney couple Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. A jumbo jet bearing Luke Davies' name led the Qantas float, the flight attendant's mother joining his colleagues for what was one of her son's favourite nights of the year.
We have Luke's mum walking with us tonight, and that is just a special moment to share with her, to share that embrace her into our love.
I hope that tonight brings a lot of healing for everyone, because I certainly know Luke was just the sweetest person and he would want everyone to celebrate unity and love.
After delicate negotiations with organisers, police marched, but not in uniform.
Everyone's been very positive and welcoming, and it's been a very pleasant surprise.
But tensions flared over other issues, with protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza dragged off the road by police. 8 people were later charged. The scuffle happened just in front of the Rainbow Labor float, where Chris Minns was making history as the first Premier to march. Throughout the night, there were plenty of politics.
Mardi Gras needs to be a political act. It's how it started and it's how it will always be.
And floats to float all boats, from tradies on the tools to the fabulously feathered.
Happy Mardi Gras, Sydney!
Bears bearing all to partying pink Barbies.
Come on, Barbie, let's go.
Shaking, shimmying and shining their way down Oxford Street in every colour of the rainbow. It was fierce, fabulous and free. Even a few brief showers weren't a drag.
You're not worried your face is going to melt in the rain?
Oh no, it's waterproofed. I've prepared myself. Many years of experience for that.
And for some, it was a family affair.
It means a lot. It's a special place walking down here. It's amazing.
Well, the 12,000 marches in this year's parade are certainly showing what Mardi Gras is all about. Celebration, pride, inclusivity and community. And for a lot of these people, the night is just getting started. Many of them will be partying well into Sunday.
Happy Mardi Gras. Nothing could dampen our parade.
Sarah Gerrithy, ABC News, Sydney.
Israel has reportedly endorsed the framework for a 6-week ceasefire in Gaza that could see fighting paused and hostages released. US officials say mediators are now waiting on a response from Hamas. It comes as aid officials warn of the threat of famine, with the United States expanding its direct role in the conflict.
Not bombs, but precious pallets rain down on Gaza. The life-saving cargo coming from US and Jordanian Air Force cargo planes, dropping 38,000 ready-to-eat meals for the hungry thousands. The aid drops mark an expansion of America's direct role responding to the crisis here. The US and other nations confirming this drop will be one of many to come.
We welcome any increase to the flow of assistance that's coming into the Gaza Strip. At the same time, airdrops are really only ever used as an absolute last resort. It's difficult to actually bring in the amount, the quantity that's required in order to meet the needs.
Some Palestinians agree it's too little to make a real difference.
The aid that is dropped by parachute is not nearly enough. Egypt should open its border and let the trucks deliver our aid.
As the war enters its 6th month, the United Nations is warning of famine, saying more than 500,000 Gazans are at risk, leading to desperate scenes like this when limited aid does manage to trickle in. Just days ago, one of the worst single tragedies when more than 100 were killed during an outbreak of violence at a food convoy. Israeli soldiers opened fire near the crowd.
It was a humanitarian operation we were running, and the claim that we deliberately attacked the convoy and deliberately harmed people is completely baseless.
US officials say Israel's basically accepted a deal for a 6-week ceasefire in exchange for the release of some of the hostages. The sticking points are over who will be released, including how many Palestinian prisoners. International mediators say it's now up to Hamas to agree, but they're optimistic there'll be a breakthrough.
We hope that we will be able to achieve ceasefire before Ramadan.
The Muslim holy month begins next week. Eric Twarchek, ABC News, Jerusalem.
One of Australia's worst invasive species is now breeding in a key Canberra drinking water reservoir. Until recently, Googong Dam near Queanbeyan was considered mostly carp-free, but sightings prove that's no longer the case. And the ACT government has confirmed to the ABC State Line that the fish are reproducing in the reservoir. The news has devastated some anglers who told me that the popular freshwater fishing spot could suffer. Nestled in the hills not far from the urban sprawl of Canberra and Queanbeyan sits a reservoir that some anglers call a freshwater fishing oasis.
This is a big boy.
And this is partly why. Googong Dam is home to some massive Murray cod. Catching a couple launched the career of Rob Paxavanis.
It's a 70, 80-pound fish.
And helped him become the host of his own TV show, Fishing Australia.
It was one of the last remaining freshwater systems that were carp-free, and hence it was very clear.
Across the Murray-Darling Basin, carp are a massive problem. In places, they now make up 80 to 90% of the fish biomass, destroying aquatic plants and reducing water quality.
Just there, look at it. Huge.
And in recent years, there have been growing fears they were establishing themselves in Googong. Local angler Paul Orman has seen them a few times. Were you shocked?
Yeah, I was actually, because I didn't think there was any carp in here, and they kept telling me there was no carp, and I said, oh yeah, but these are carp.
The Parks ACT webpage about fishing states carp are still excluded from the dam, but a government spokesperson confirmed to the ABC that in late 2021 a survey found adult and sub-adult carp, indicating that breeding had taken place. And it's the word breeding that is really key in that statement, because the odd carp has been seen and even caught here since at least 1990, but it wasn't considered an established or self-sustaining population.
So if they're breeding, they're producing under their own steam, and so a population will take off.
Mark Lintermans has studied freshwater fish in the region for more than 4 decades and suspects the carp may have escaped from a flooded farm dam in the catchment or been used as live bait. He thinks it's extremely unlikely the fish could have come from a pipeline connecting the Murrumbidgee River to Googong, and says carp pose no threat to Canberra's drinking water supply.
No, it will have no effect because Googong's water is fully treated before it gets to Canberra taps.
I mean, this fish can swallow a small child.
But there are fears that native fish stocks in Googong could suffer, particularly if carp numbers boom over the next decade.
It's devastating news, it really is. Like, it's really sad. So I never thought that the carp would get in there. All is not lost, but we definitely need a solution.
Authorities have stocked more predatory native fish here like Murray cod and golden perch in an attempt to keep carp numbers low. But one female carp can lay 1 million eggs, and authorities say once they're in, they're extremely difficult to control. Well, our city is already known for one motorsport event, and now Canberra has cemented its connection with another. 13,000 people attended the Festival of Speed at Thoroughbred Park, which saw classic European brands alongside prestige motorsport machines.
What Summernats is to Fords, Hollands and Hot Rods, the Festival of Speed is to Porsche, Ferrari and Lamborghini. A purpose-built track was laid so rev heads can watch these rare breeds in their natural habitat. V8 driver and Canberra's own Cameron Hill showed what he's about on the track.
It's all about just getting the car out there, making some noise, burning some rubber, and yeah, so far it's been well received.
Off the circuit, it was a good chance for the V8's driver to catch up with his 18-year-old protege, Imogen Radburn.
I hope to either go overseas to America and compete in the Porsche Carrera Cup seasons, or go towards the supercars, which my coach Cameron Hill's in.
Hill has been mentoring Radburn since he watched her race in Canberra.
There's not many females climbing the ladder at the moment, so I want to try help her continue to make the next step.
There was a steady stream of unique race cars hitting the track at the festival. Outside, England and Germany's finest were on display. Inside, it was Italy's greatest hits, including this 1972 Ferrari Dino. Owner Trevor McPherson takes his prancing horse to put on show and on the circuit.
On tracks at least a few times a year, every year for 40 years, I think I can comfortably say it's the most tracked Ferrari in Australia.
David White's 1980s Lamborghini Countach was a crowd favourite.
Everyone likes this one. It doesn't age. I don't think it ages at all.
The organisers hope to bring the event back to the capital next year. James Viver, ABC News, Canberra.
Commonwealth Park exploded in colour today as Canberra's annual Holi Festival wrapped up. The festival has its origins in the Hindu faith and celebrates the triumph of good over evil. It also marks the start of spring in India and is seen as an opportunity for a reset. Best known for the brightly coloured powders, organisers say it is a powerful message of diversity and inclusion, with plenty of non-Hindu people also enjoying the festival.
There might be any colour in their skin, but once you put the colours on, they're all the same colour, which is a complete mixture of colours. So the idea is, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, green or blue, or whatever it is. Today is all about community, mixing it all together, and just removing all the colour differences.
The NRL season is officially underway after rugby league rolled into Las Vegas for the first time in the sport's long history. Manly downed South Sydney and the Broncos were outplayed by the Roosters. But the real upset was in the 7th minute with a complaint of an alleged racial slur. The Sea Eagles and Roosters were delighted to start their campaigns with wins, with the Code's American adventure only just beginning.
The winds were howling, the skies threatening. The fans came in a trickle and then with a roar.
Hey, the Bronx, come on! Vegas! Hello, Sydney! Go Rabbitohs! 40-0, 40-0, 40-0!
Rugby League's moment in the City of Sin had arrived.
Let's go! NRL USA, baby!
So we are going to do it big time here in Vegas, and it's the best. And we just love you guys. You've accepted us. We've shut up! Oh, bring back the biff!
I think the Yanks will love it, but it'll take a while for them just to get used to the game, you know, because they're stop, start, where our games just flood out for the 80 minutes.
They were well and truly outnumbered, but there were a few Americans in the mix.
It's exciting and fun to watch. Watching the guys, you know, it's so different to the NFL.
It's all year this year, definitely.
I'm hoping the Broncos get a lot of tries and kick a lot of goals.
I'm expecting good rugby live.
More than 40,000 fans were in the stands for the historic double-header, but the NRL's dreaming bigger than that.
I think if we can make it here, it could be worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for the game.
Cue this young star to shine in the bright lights of Vegas.
And Walsh with flat bottoms.
but it was the Roosters who prevailed over last year's grand finalists, 20-10. The clash wasn't without controversy, a racial complaint made by Ezra Mam against Spencer Lanu.
I haven't heard it. The incident goes on report. Kate will be dealt with after.
Earlier, a high-scoring show between the Bunnies and Sea Eagles as the sides scored a combined 11 tries, Manly winning by 12 points.
The NRL will be back here next year. It's committed to its American ambitions over a 5-year period.
But whether locals will take to the game is still a big question mark.
It's Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Emily Gromens, ABC News, Las Vegas.
In the Super Rugby Pacific, the Waratahs have upset reigning premiers, the Crusaders, in one of their best performances in recent times. Meanwhile, the Queensland Reds were defeated by the Hurricanes deep into extra time to end the Super Round with a thriller.
It was 6 minutes into Golden Point that the Hurricanes delivered the Reds a final blow.
They win it in Golden Points!
The team scored 3 tries each in the first half to lock the scores at 19 all. Despite being down a player for most of the second half, the Canes kept up as the teams traded blows to finish regular time at 33 apiece. Pasilio Tossi was the hero for the New Zealand side, scoring the winning try to secure the Hurricanes' narrow 38-33 win. Earlier today, the Chiefs convincingly defeated the ACT Brumbies by 34 points. The Hamilton-based side looked dangerous all afternoon and went into half-time with a healthy 18-point lead.
Back to Damien McKenzie and D-Maxson!
Brumbies winger Corey Toole scored his 4th try in 2 games as the ACT side lifted momentarily, but the Chiefs piled on another 3 tries to win 46-12.
We missed the jump from the start today. They had the tempo all over us. I think that was obviously their game plan for that first part of the first half there, and they sort of continued with it the whole game.
And the New South Wales Waratahs have produced a stunning upset over reigning premiers, the Crusaders. A charge down from Hugh Sinclair led to the Tars' first try, which was backed up by Harry Wilson for a 13-point lead at half-time. The Waratahs' 2 tries to the Crusaders' 1 in the second half gave them a 37-24-point win that not many saw coming.
I think we're paying $9 in the tourist race, so yeah, not that anyone I know got on, but you do want to prove people wrong when no one's backing you to do something.
It's the first time Christchurch has lost its opening 2 games in 10 years. Anthea Moody, ABC News.
To cricket, and spinner Nathan Lyon has taken another bag of wickets as Australia defeated New Zealand by 172 runs in the first test in Wellington. Chasing an improbable 369 for victory, the Black Caps offered little resistance on day 4 as Australia took a 1-0 lead in the 2-test series.
He's a swing at that.
It's been 31 years since New Zealand has beaten Australia in a test at home, and the wait continues.
And Australia have won it quite convincingly in the end.
Had some success against them over the years in Test cricket, and great to get a great start here.
A pitch that had started the game as a pace bowler's dream turned into a nightmare for batters facing Nathan Lyon.
Head on the pads and gone.
The veteran spinner finished with a match haul of 10 wickets for the 5th time in his career.
And that one will not go far enough.
I already told him the day he retires, I'm definitely giving up the captaincy because it makes my life a hell of a lot easier.
He's always under pressure in the 4th innings and he always seems to stand up and perform, so yeah, he bowled beautifully.
Green was named man of the match for his career best knock in the first innings.
He was amazing. He was really the difference in the end. You look at the trend of the game. I think the next highest score was about 50 or 60, and he's obviously put on 170 odd, not out.
After letting opportunities slip in this test, New Zealand is optimistic that it can level the series.
We'll reflect on this, we'll debrief it and obviously move to a different ground, different surface, a ground that we've had a lot of success at.
The second and final test starts on Friday in Christchurch. Duncan Huntsdale, ABC News.
The new Formula One season has started in familiar fashion, with the reigning champion Max Verstappen recording a convincing win in Bahrain. The Dutchman won 19 of 22 races last year and continued that form by finishing more than 20 seconds ahead of Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez. Australian Oscar Piastri was 8th in his McLaren, while countryman Daniel Ricciardo finished 13th. Verstappen's win came just days after Red Bull boss Christian Horner was cleared after an investigation into allegations of workplace misconduct.
We're a very strong team. We got tremendous support. We got tremendous partners. Great shareholders behind us as well. And you don't achieve this kind of result by not being united.
Australian tennis player Alex de Minaur has won the Mexican Open for the second year in a row. The world number 9 defeated Norway's Casper Ruud in the final. It is the 8th ATP title for the 25-year-old. In athletics, 2 Australian women have run 800-metre Olympic qualifying times in last night's Canberra Track Classic. For one teenage sensation, it is a dream come true in the early stages of a breakout season.
Athletics fans are getting used to seeing Claudia Hollingsworth pull away from the field.
Going to get there. Hollingsworth wins again. And the time is fast, super fast. 1:58.83.
But yesterday's 800-metre race at the Canberra Track Classic was more than just a win for the 18-year-old.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is an Olympic qualifier.
It's obviously everyone's sort of dream for this Australian season to get it ticked off, and for it to happen so early, I didn't know. I was obviously hoping for it, especially at this track, pacing it quite quick, but yeah, amazing feeling for sure.
Hollingsworth becomes the 3rd fastest Australian of all time over 800 metres, breaking her 3rd consecutive under-20 national record. And she wasn't the only one in the race to run an Olympic qualifier, with training partner Bandiria Boyer also clocking the time needed for Paris. In the women's 100 metres, national women's record holder Tori Lewis continues her winning ways, running 11.30 seconds to remain the top Australian sprinter this season.
Running well, Lewis launches clear and gets the win.
While it was 0.20 seconds off her Australian record, run in Canberra earlier this year, Lewis is just happy for another race experience.
So the fact that every single track classic I've done, except for Melbourne, I've won. It just gives me a lot more confidence.
Former Australian representative turned Frenchman Sacha Zoya made his much anticipated arrival at the Summer Series.
Now he hits that hurdle, Zoya zooms away and Sacha!
Clocking 13.5 seconds in the men's 110-metre hurdles in front of his adoring fans.
Being back here, I'm really feeling the love, which is making me really feel at home.
The Summer Series continues with the Sydney Track Classic held at Olympic Park in 3 weeks. Anthea Moody, ABC News, Canberra.
To the weather now, and we have 2 viewer photos for you tonight. The first comes from Graham Smith, who captured yesterday's sunset at the War Memorial, and our second snap was taken by Chris Elsley, who was up in the Australian high country. Thank you both. Now, it was fresh this morning, just 11 degrees at the airport, but it turned into a glorious day. 29 degrees our top in the city and 30 in Tuggeranong. Inland, Wagga reached 31 today. Thredbo Top Station hit a top of just 15. Bega got to 24 and Moruya 24 as well. In the capitals, Brisbane reached 30, Sydney 31 and Melbourne only 21 degrees. On the satellite you can see there was a bit of cloud over New South Wales today, but it was mostly clear in our area, and it should remain relatively sunny and warm for much of this week thanks to that high pressure system which is moving towards the Tasman. In the capitals, Brisbane could get a shower tomorrow, Sydney will likely be partly cloudy and Melbourne's headed for about 21 again. In our region, more autumnal conditions are likely for tomorrow, just 2 degrees expected overnight in Perisher and Thredbo, and the tops on the coast will be in the low 20s, 21 degrees expected at Batemans Bay. Here in Canberra and Queanbeyan, it will be cool again early, a low of around 10 or 11, and we're headed for a top of 23, 24 degrees. Sunrise is 12 minutes to 7 and sunset is 19 to 8. And looking ahead, you can see the heat is really going to build up through the week, and the Canberra Day long weekend looks like it could be hot and sunny. Maybe a final blast of summer, a top of 27s on the way for Tuesday, 30 for Wednesday, 29 for Thursday. And that is the latest from the Canberra newsroom for this Sunday evening. I'm James Glenday. It is always lovely to have your company, and I hope you have a fantastic week. We'll of course be back at the same time tomorrow night, and until then, Yarra, good night.